Greetings, Richard Fulmer here. Welcome to another edition of Richard's Rock Rambles. So today we're going to look at Acdc again, our part 2, which is going to be the Brian Johnson era. So Brian Johnson joined the band when the original singer Bon Scott had passed away. They were looking for another singer. Unfortunately, Bon died of a hypothermia. Was left in a car overnight, and the next morning they found him and he was dead. So very sad, but they needed to carry on. They wanted to carry on, especially for Bon. I think he would have wanted them to carry on. And they were looking for a singer in the same kind of mold, the same powerful vocals. And they find Brian Johnson in a band called Geordie. Geordie had done about 5 albums. Very different to Acdc, not as heavy, sort of boogie-based rock. With a couple of slow numbers. He had quite a range, and he would go on to bigger things with Acdc, obviously, especially in the vocal department, where he had to really stretch out. So he joined them in 1980, and he was with them all the way to 2016. Took a short break because of some health issues with his hearing and what have you. The doctor said he couldn't carry on, so his place was taken by another well-known gentleman that we'll get to in a minute. And then he rejoined them and he's with them today after the reunion. So he's back with the band, which is great. You want to have the original guys back. So during this era, the Brian Johnson era, there have been some other changes as well. Notably in the drum department, Simon Wright was there from 83 to 89. Simon Wright then went on to play for Dio. I think he's also played for a number of other bands. I think there's a Dio tribute band that he's part of as well. I think they're called Last in Line. I think he's in that band. Chris Slade was also on drums from 89 to 94, and more recently from 2015 to 2016. So his place has been taken again by Phil Rudd, the original drummer. But he first joined in 89. Chris Slade played for Uriah Heep. I think he also played for that band The Firm with Jimmy Page and a number of other bands. And then you have Stevie Young on rhythm guitar, who's the nephew of the Young brothers, and he joined once Malcolm couldn't play anymore with his health issues and dementia and what have you. So those have been the main changes within the band in this period. The other gentleman I mentioned before is none other than Axel Rose from Guns N' Roses. They were looking for a replacement. Once Brian was told that he couldn't sing anymore with his hearing and what have you, so they got hold of Axel, which was quite a surprise for me. He was the last person I would have thought would have joined. But he seemed to do okay. He did a couple of tours with them. Nothing recorded, I don't think. And he was with them in 2016. I don't have all the albums from the Brian Johnson era. I have the ones I think that were most notable, that had the big sales and that, took them to another level. The other ones that I don't have are from 81, For Those About to Rock. That came after the massive album Back in Black. Flicker the Switch from 83, which was the first album to be produced by the band themselves. Very raw sounding album. Takes a while to get into, but it's a good album as well. Fly on the Wall from 85. Couple of good tracks, not that fantastic. Ball Breaker from 95 was okay. Stiff Upper Lip from 2000. Black Ice from 2008. Rock or Bust from 2014, which I think features Stevie Young on rhythm guitar. And then their most recent album, the one from last year, called Power Up, the one that surprised everybody who thought Acdc were done and dusted. Lo and behold, they come back with a really strong album. So Power Up last year. And that is Brian Johnson on vocals, Stevie Young rhythm guitar, Angus Young guitar, Phil Rudd drums, and Cliff Williams came back on bass. So you pretty much had the Back in Black era, besides Malcolm. Obviously he's the main missing link there. So Stevie Young, the nephew's taken his place. And some of the standout tracks on that album are Realize. I think that was the first single, or Shot in the Dark was the first single. Then Realize and Demon Fire. It's a hard rocking album. It's Acdc. You know what you're going to get. No frills, just good boogie rock. And Brian Johnson's in full cry. I mean, his vocals sound amazing. I don't think he has any health issues anymore. Angus, obviously looking a little older, but he can still crank it out on the guitar, some great lead breaks. And Stevie Young is good on the rhythm. I think he's an able replacement for Malcolm. And then, of course, you got the rock-solid drummer, Phil Rudd, and Cliff Williams on bass. That they played together for so many years that they know each other like the back of their hands. So that album was produced by Brendan O'Brien, who I think did a few of them before. And the tracks are credited to Angus and Malcolm. So these are tracks that he'd written before he passed away with Angus. And that's what they have on the most recent album. And he died on the 18th of November 2017 from dementia, complications. He also had cancer previously. So yeah, he was not in a good space. Really, really sad. I mean, Malcolm Young was the driving force behind Acdc. He was the guy that, everybody sort of looked up to. He was the driving force. And, for your brother, to lose your brother like that, in played together for so many years, it must have been really hard for Angus. But he decided to carry on. And if you listen to the new album, you can see that that was a good idea. Yeah, it's a really strong album. So we're going to go through the albums that I have. As I said, I don't have all of them, but I have the most notable ones. And there's a couple of other things I want to show as well. So once Bon Scott had passed away, they needed to come back strong. And you don't get stronger than Back in Black. Yep, not much you can see there. There's the Acdc logo. This album was just full of hits. From the first track to the last, there's not a bad track on here. Produced once again by Robert John Matlanger, our very own, and he did a great job with this. I think out of all the albums that he's produced, this for me is the standout one. Hell's Bells, amazing track, kicks off this album. Great riffs from Malcolm. Brian Johnson's vocals took everybody by surprise. I mean, to follow in the footsteps of Bon Scott couldn't have been easy, but he did a really good job on here. Shoot to Thrill, What Do You Do for Money, Honey, Giving the Dog a Bone, another great track. Full-on rocking tracks here. There's no ballads here. This is just in-your-face stuff. Let Me Put My Love Into You. Back in Black, the title track, which for me is one of the best, most anthemic rock tracks ever. It's right up there with Smoke on the Water and Whole Lot of Love. You Shook Me All Night Long, Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, and Rock and Roll and Noise Pollution. This album was actually part of the Bonfire box set that I showed you previously, and I found that a little strange because this had nothing to do with Bon Scott. So, go figure. But in any case, so this has been the remastered. There's some tracks of the guys. There's Angus, and there's Brian Johnson with that ever-present cap on his head, and Phil Rudd and the rest of the guys. Incredible album. This sold millions of copies, and if you listen to this, you can see why. It's a well-rounded, complete rock album. You don't need anything else but this. So then we go on a few years. This was an album called Blow Up Your Video, and this came out in '88. This is produced by Harry Vander and George Young, so they went back to the old producers that they used. Not a bad album. Heat Seeker's a good track. That's the Way I Want to Rock and Roll. Mean Streak. Kissing Dynamite. Rough Stuff. Not bad. Not the best, but this was also a Sony remaster, so you do get some nice photographs inside. There's Brian Johnson. So this is well into his tenure with the band. He'd been with them for a while already. And these guys were a well-oiled machine. There's old Angus, sweating as much as ever. Yeah, so not a bad album. I think Heat Seeker for me was the best track off here. Really great up-tempo rock track. The next big album for them was 1990's The Razor's Edge. I remember when this came out, I was still in retail at the time, music retail, and there was a lot of noise about this album. This was going to be a big one, and so it would prove to be with the title, the first track, Thunderstruck. That was a massive hit. They had a great music video to go with that as well, and sold lots of copies. I remember we sold quite a few of this album in the stores. Fire Your Guns, that was also a great track. Money Talks was also a single. Mistress for Christmas, Rock Your Heart Out, Are You Ready? Got You by the Balls. Balls once again featured. Shot of Love, If You Dare, produced by Bruce Fairbairn, who was also a big-time producer. He produced a lot of big acts back in the day. Just want to see if there's anything. Okay, this is just the basic copy, so there's just the names of the guys. This isn't a remastered version. I think it has been remastered. Came back strong with this album. This was really good. Then there was a sort of a soundtrack album for the movie Who Made Who? Was that the name of the movie? Yes, Who Made Who? Soundtrack from the Stephen King movie. It was okay, you know, Who Made Who? You Shook Me All Night Long. There was a different version. Sink the Pink, that was from Fly on the Wall, I think. Ride On. So there's some old tracks on here. And this album features Simon Wright. You can see Simon Wright, the drummer over there. And this is also a remaster, so you do get the nice booklet inside. A couple of live shots. There we go, the two brothers. Yeah, not essential, but a fairly good album. Then there was a CD and a DVD or video release, dual release, Acdc Live, and this was at Donington Festival in the UK. Great live album. These acts really cook on here. This is with Chris Slade on drums, the drummer I mentioned before from Uriah Heep and The Firm. Quite a long album. Thunderstruck, that was the big hit of the day, obviously. Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, Sin City. There's a lot of old stuff on here as well. High Voltage, Let There Be Rock, Highway to Hell, TNT, Whole Lot of Rosie, you know, the usual suspects they had to play. This is a remastered version, so you get all that. There's that big blow-up doll. That's a Whole Lot of Rosie right there. Double disc. And there's also a video and a DVD of this concert that's really great to watch. There's the guys. Full Rudd. Chris Slade smacking away there. Some great shots. Yeah, so Full Rudd would come back eventually. He had some issues as well with drugs and what have you, and dealings with the law, but he came back and he's been part of the reunion. It's great to see him back. He's a little older now, but he can still smack the skins. So that's what I have on CD. There's a couple of other things I want to show you. There's a really great live concert called No Bull, and this was in... Sure, where was this? This was in Spain, Madrid, Spain, yes. Great concert. Footage is amazing on here. There's a great shot of Angus with his horns on his head, the little devil. And there's one of Brian sitting on top of that big ball that sort of swung across the stage. Yeah, I think he must have had a bit of insurance with things like that. There's all Full Rudd on drums. Really great concert, and the crowd is amazing. There's also one from Argentina, which is more recent, which is also live at River Plate. That one's even more crowd intensive. I mean, the guys in South America are mental. But this is really good to watch. Back in Black, Shot Down in Flames, Thunderstruck, Dog Eat Dog, Whole Lot of Love, For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, with a cannon shooting out into the audience. Great stuff. Then there's a 3 DVD set called Plug Me In, and this has got all, excuse me, just need a sip of water. This has got footage from way back from 75 right up to 83. So you've got the Brian Johnson era and the Bon Scott era featured here. So you've got TNT, you've got High Voltage, King of Pop, Australia, October 1975. There's a whole bunch of stuff on here, as you can see. Really great viewing. You open it up. It opens up like that. There's the 3 discs. And you get a whole bunch of stuff inside. You get a thing with stickers of Acdc and all sorts of memorabilia from back in the day, which is quite cool. And you get a nice booklet as well with photographs. There's Angus rolling around on stage as he did. Pictures of the band. So yeah, a really nice box set. I think it's still available. I'm not sure about that. There's another one called Family Jewels, which has also got some interesting footage from back in the day. That's also Bon Scott, I think both eras. So, you know, Acdc, like Iron Maiden, look after their fans. They've really released some good stuff. And they're constantly releasing stuff. You know, so if you're a dedicated fan, you get your money's worth. A couple of books I want to show you as well. This one, Acdc Maximum Rock and Roll. Murray Egelhart with Arnaud Dureau. This was a really good book. It's got some great photography and photographs of the guys inside, the live shots and what have you. Really nice one to get. And the other one is Malcolm Dome. Of course, Malcolm Dome's written many books, many rock books. He's got a great style, quite funny. He seems to find all the sort of dodgy stuff that bands get up to, and he puts it in his books. And Acdc were not exempt from that. This one's called Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be by Mick Wall, Acdc. Also got a whole bunch of cool photographs. Some black and white, some color. Yeah, really good book. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. He's written books on Metallica, he's done Iron Maiden, he's done Guns N' Roses, he's done a whole bunch of bands. Really nice style of writing. So that's it. Acdc, the two eras. Hope you enjoyed that. Still going today. Hopefully once this COVID nonsense is over, they can get back on and tour their most recent album, Power Up. Because of COVID, they weren't really able to do that. They sort of made the album, got released, got rave reviews, and then they had to sort of sit back and wait for, you know, a chance to tour. When you're a rock band, you want to tour, you want to be in front of the crowd, but hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. So guys, if you like this video, please like down below and subscribe if you haven't. Any comments are welcome. I think next time in our blues rock journey, we're going to feature a band that didn't last very long. They only did 3 albums actually. But I thought they were an amazing band with a lot of talent, great singer, great guitarist. And that'll be the band Badlands. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great week. Take it easy. Cheers.